Valentine's Day. It's that one day in a year where it's filled with love and romance and celebrating couples. But for us who are single, it can be a period of struggles. So we're going to talk about what some of those struggles look like in this video and how we can navigate through them as well. Hey guys, I'm Nora and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about Valentine's Day. You know, every time that this day comes around in the year, I feel a bit of mixed emotions. Like, I feel really happy that we can celebrate love and romance, but at the same time I'm like, as a single Christian, I wish that I had someone to celebrate this day with. And when we're surrounded by it, everywhere we go, from the shops to social media, it's hard to avoid it as well. So these are some of the struggles that I know that I faced as a single person in the past. And it wasn't until God really showed me how to navigate through these struggles that I really actually started to enjoy Valentine's Day, even as a single person. Struggle number one is loneliness. Now, I think on Valentine's Day, it's really easy to feel alone, really easy to feel isolated from everyone else, especially when you're not in a couple. But what I realized is that loneliness is actually more of an internal thing rather than an external thing. You know, if you think about it, you could be surrounded by a sea of people and still feel alone. You could still be married, or you could even still be in a couple and feel isolated and feel like you are lonely. So no matter what season of life you're in, loneliness doesn't discriminate. You know, Jesus himself, the perfect man, actually experienced loneliness on the cross. He said, my God, why have you forsaken me? And what that reminds us is that feeling lonely isn't actually a sinful thing. It's not a bad thing to feel alone, but it's how we respond to that loneliness is what is important. Just like Jesus, we need to learn to turn to our Father in our loneliness. In Psalm 46 verse 1, it says that God is our refuge and our strength. So I know that as we turn to him, he will be our comfort in our loneliness. So what I like to do in my loneliness is actually spend time alone with God in silence and solitude. And you know, it sounds counterintuitive because it's like, to combat loneliness, you want to be alone and you want to be withdrawn from the rest of the world. But it's actually when I am most withdrawn from the rest of the world and I'm focused on God that I feel his presence the most tangible, and I'm able to actually feel the most comfort in my loneliness. So what does that actually look like? Well, Jesus actually modeled that for us in Luke 5:16. So whether we come to God in prayer, in worship, and just meditating on his goodness, allow yourself to be filled up with his presence and his comfort in your loneliness. Struggle number two on Valentine's Day is comparison. It's really easy to compare with other couples, especially when you're surrounded by them. And especially when people are posting online and you see all these really beautiful things and you're like, damn, I wish I had that. But what we need to remember is that often people project on social media and project publicly what they want us to see of their relationships. But we don't see the nitty-gritty behind relationships. We don't see the hard work. And it's actually not as maybe green as we might think it is on the other side. And when we start to compare, we might start to actually elevate their lives like all the way up here compared to us. And that's actually like an unrealistic representation of what it actually is like. And when we do that, we actually also start to lose gratitude for the things that we do have in our lives. So how I combat comparison is to actually carry a spirit of gratitude. And how I do that is actually by writing some lists. The first list is a list of all the people that I'm thankful for who are currently in the season of life that I'm in, or my family or my friends, all the people that have input into this season, I write down. And number two is actually to write down all the things that I feel like as a single person, I have the freedom to do. You know, I have a lot of friends who are married or who have kids, and they have so much more responsibilities, and they have to actually put their schedules and work their schedules around their children. They have to sleep early, they have to wake up early, they have to, you know, go home early after parties and can't stay out late. So those are things that I'm grateful for that I'm able to do in this season. And once I start to exercise a spirit of gratitude, I also start to feel more content in the season of singleness that I'm in. Struggle number three is envying and coveting what other people have. I know in my past, I've definitely looked at other couples and been like, man, I wish that was my boyfriend, or I wish that was my husband. And it sounds really bad, and it actually is bad because it's a sin. You know, in the 10 Commandments, God says, do not covet another person's wife or, you know, husband. And aside from being sinful, it also might mean that we miss out on the blessings that God does have for us because we're too busy focusing on the blessings of other people. If we look at the example of King David, he coveted another man's wife, Bathsheba. And when he did that, it actually just led him down a slippery slope, which led to murdering that man, an innocent man, just because he wanted something that wasn't his to take in the first place. You know, this only exemplifies how dangerous coveting can be and the slippery slope it can take someone down. So when I start to feel like I'm envious and I want what other people have, I bring it before God and I actually start to thank God for the blessings that He has given other people. For example, I start to thank God that they're able to find their life partner or that they're able to move into the next season of engagement. And when I do that, I actually stop thinking about myself and start putting other people before myself. And it also helps to remove the bitter taste of envy as well. Struggle number 4 on Valentine's Day is a sense of hopelessness. You know, I always thought by 25 I'd be married, I'd have kids, the whole shebang, and I never actually thought that I'd be almost 30 and still single.
This is happening. Oh.
And with that, I've gone through my own journey of hopelessness. You know, at times I've been like, God, do you really have someone out there for me? Or God, is this something that I want but actually not what you want for my life? And when I start to feel those thoughts and think those things, I realize it's because I start to lose focus on who God is and the character and the faithfulness of God. And instead I actually look at just my circumstances and I start to let that worry me instead of trusting in God. What encourages me the most in my hopelessness is actually to seek God for a purpose of why I am in the season that I'm in, to understand that I am right here where He wants me to be. And that allows me to remember that He is a sovereign and He is a good God. Another thing that I find really helpful in my hopelessness is actually finding a verse to anchor myself in each season of life. When I go through different seasons, there are different things that I feel like God can speak to me through scripture, and it gives me a confidence that God is working and that I am not alone in my hopelessness. Struggle number 5 on Valentine's Day is the fear of missing out. Now, I'm not really a person who normally gets FOMO, but definitely when it comes to Valentine's Day and you see all these people doing all these fun and exciting things, you're like, I wish I got to do those things too. But the truth is, you don't have to be in a relationship in order to take yourself out or have fun on Valentine's Day. You know, last year Valentine's Day, I took myself out for a movie, I took myself out for dinner, and I splurged on myself. Like, I went to gold class, I got ice cream and popcorn brought to me by the waiters, and you know, I had a really great time. And even though I was surrounded by couples, it was actually such a really big moment for me, because it was like, you know what, Nora, you can enjoy yourself on Valentine's Day and you can treat yourself as well. So if you're single this Valentine's Day, I encourage you, take yourself out and enjoy yourself, or even better yet, maybe gather some of your single friends and do something together. And the great thing about that is that you're also encouraging your single friends to enjoy their singleness on this day. Whether you're single or in a relationship this Valentine's Day, I hope it's the best one yet for you. Remember to like this video and subscribe to Salt's YouTube channel for more videos on singleness, dating and relationships. And I'll see you in the next video.